everybody. What's your name?
We're Small Steps Finance.
What do you do?
We're a financial coaching company.
Hi everyone, welcome to our first Financial
Financial Friday.
Told you not to do that.
Still
This
like
is Kayla.
Hi.
She's our financial coach,
And this is Nikki.
and I do everything else.
Literally. Today, we're going to be talking about some personal struggles over different time periods, but we realized in preparation of this video that we actually have a lot more to say than we thought that we did. And so we've decided to break it into a couple of different parts. One, today, I'm going to largely be focusing on my financial experience in college, and then next Financial Friday, Nikki will talk about her experience in college with finances and how she spent money and things like that. And then as the series progresses, we would really like to talk about financial trauma in childhood and how that really shapes who you are and how you handle money later in life. And we'll move into our kind of dating period and how we handled finances there. And then once we got married, we merged finances and kind of became one pot for everybody to use. And these were really, truly different seasons of our lives. And we've been through a lot of trial and error when it comes to figuring out exactly how our finances should look and what our ultimate goals are.
We all have different pasts and we all have been through different things. And so we just hope that our experiences can help you feel less alone in your financial journey.
As we kick off our first Financial Friday, I want to show you what mug I picked out.
Why'd you pick that one?
I picked this one because, well, first of all, it was in the front of the cabinet, which is strange because I don't actually use this one very much. I don't know how it got there. I did?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even notice. I don't normally get my coffee. Somebody brings it.
Coffee Fairy.
To me. The Coffee Fairy, right. So I picked this one originally because it was in the front. But then I realized it would be a great segue into what we're talking about. Now, technically, this falls more into our dating era of time, but I did go to London and get this mug and a matching one in yellow that Nikki broke and then threw away.
I did not break that.
You did. You put it on the ledge.
And then it fell off.
And then you threw it away. And it traveled all the way across the Atlantic to end up in the garbage. You did keep it for a long time, though. So the reason this is super relevant is because while a lot of people were really excited to go study abroad during our master's program, I spent that time that other people were excited handwriting letters, typing letters, reaching out to different people and asking them for donations, because without those donations, there was absolutely no way that I was going to be able to have this experience. And I tell my students that there is nothing like a study abroad experience. So I'm very grateful to everybody who donated, who are probably all of the people following us on Facebook, and tell them I appreciate that opportunity. And here's to the one mug that has survived the trip so far.
If you guys know us at all, and some of you do, some of you might not, she puts a lot of thought into everything that she does. However, I not so much. So I picked out this mug out of our cabinet. There's a llama. It says, "Not my problema." And I picked it out because it was right there and I like this mug.
When we start to talk about different journeys, I'd be remiss not to mention childhood financial trauma, but there's so much that goes into it and so much that goes into my personal story that we really want to kind of hold off on talking about that, because we want to be able to lead in with some solutions as well. And this is really to get to know us. But I bring it up because I think that it absolutely shaped who I am today, who I was, and 1000% has a direct link to how my relationship with money until I started really working through that relationship so that it would be a lot healthier. Well, I'm going to leave that for later. After high school, I did attend college in southwestern Pennsylvania. It was about 6.5 hours away from my house in Delaware. And if you know anything about how I ended up in southwestern Pennsylvania, it has a lot to do with the fact that I thought I was going to be a French teacher, which I am not, and also the fact that my mom absolutely kicked me out of the state.
She would have never done that.
She literally kicked me out of the state. And if you're thinking, how could somebody kick somebody out of a state? You don't know my mom.
I know your mom, and she's very lovely.
She is lovely. She kicked me out. She will confirm. I'll make her comment below or something to confirm that she kicked me out of an entire state. So I go 6.5 hours away, and I want to be super clear when I say that I absolutely had everything that I needed for college, except for like the motivation to do well. And despite any type of financial struggle, my mom made sure that I had the things, the tools that I needed.
Like that giant laptop that I found a few months ago that was just hiding away in our closet. I picked this thing out and it is like carrying 10 bricks. Like, this thing is so heavy, it's so big. I'm like, why do we still have this? But she got it when she went to college and she used it for a long time, and now it's just stashed away with our old electronics.
Because everybody has a secret spot where they put their old electronics, right? Like, that's not just me. And also cords. We have a bag full of cords and a bin full of electronics that we will never use again.
Even though we haven't touched the bag of cords since like 3 years ago.
Yeah, when you organized all of them and said, what are all of these for? And then we gave up because it was too hard. So I totally had everything that I needed. And one of the things that was very special to me, other than my computer, that was definitely not top of the line, but I will tell you absolutely got the job done, was my winter coat. So I remember that my mom took me shopping. I could tell you where in Walmart I was when she picked out this coat. It was one of those coats where you have like the interior coat as well. And she said, I want to make sure that you're warm. You're going to have to walk all over campus. It gets very cold there. But I really need you to make this coat last for 4 years. And that was really special to me because the coat was great. But more importantly, it shows a dedication from my mom, making sure that I had the things that I needed to succeed. Right.
And instead of it lasting for 4 years, it lasted for probably 14 years.
True. We literally just got rid of it, within the last year or so.
For sure.
Nikki wore it when she went to school downtown, despite the fact that it's cold and windy and rainy and snowy all on the same day. Sunny.
Despite the fact that it's ripped and it's faded and it's old and it doesn't have a hood.
And also the inside of the coat, have no idea what happened to that, but it lasted a really long time. There's something to be said, not today, but later, about the quality of things and how much they cost, and the fact that you actually end up spending more for cheaper products over time, and yet sometimes people can only afford those cheaper products. So really making quality products accessible to other people. And the school year starts off and I have basically no extra money. I had a meal plan, and my grandparents did send me a monthly check for $100, which was all of the money in the world. Sent me a $100 check as long as I was getting A's and B's. And I did confess one time that I got a C on a test, and my grandma said that she appreciated my honesty, but also the check was already in the mail. Unfortunately, that only lasted until about December, because then I stopped getting A's and B's. Everything is all said and done. I got an ACG grant, which you already have to qualify for a Pell Grant. And if you don't know what Pell Grants are, or ACG, those have been discontinued, but Pell Grants have not. It is for undergraduate students who show exceptional financial need. Despite that, and a soccer scholarship, I still have enormous amounts of student loan debt.
And you also went to school for like a long time and have like 1 million degrees. So that makes sense.
Right. But who gives an 18-year-old coming from very little money access to refund checks worth thousands of dollars, which is more than they can literally comprehend in their brain? It's not the smartest idea, but I should have been better at managing my money. Problem was, I didn't know how to manage money. I didn't even know that managing money was a thing. And I definitely spent a lot of money. And that brings me to my first credit card. So in 2009, I got my first credit card. It was a Discover student card. It has now been switched to a Discover It card. And the starting limit, which I thought was a lot of money, was $450. It felt like I won the lottery. And this is after I had put in a lot of student applications. My credit score was so bad, didn't even know what a credit score was or how any of that worked. It was so bad. Discover was the only one out of probably 5 that I applied to. When did you get your first credit card?
My first credit card was from 1996. I still have it in our safe, actually. I think my mom just opened me a bank account when I was like 4. I actually don't know.
You look really good for your age, opening a credit card at 18.
Yeah. I've always been a big spender.
And so one of the things that's interesting is that they've actually now put limitations on those things. But one time I did ask my mom, I said, Nikki's mom opened her up a credit card when she was real young so that she could start building her credit. Why didn't you do that for me? And my mom said, I didn't have a credit card in 1994 or 1996, whenever it was, that she didn't even have a credit card yet. So your mom was way ahead of the game in the best way.
I still don't really know how that worked. I think she just added me onto hers. I don't know.
So the reason I got the Discover card was so that I could pay for Christmas presents. I really enjoy giving gifts, although I only give them when I buy them. So like I buy them early and then I either lose them or give them to the person well in advance of the actual event and then have to buy another one. But
this makes sense because we have a closet upstairs that is full of a bunch of presents that we have for the following year for all of these different people.
Shh, don't tell everybody where to find their gifts.
You're right.
Anyway, when I got the credit card, I spent it on gifts. And then any money left over, I spent immediately. I would pay the minimum balance, normally probably late. And then as soon as it posted, which by the way, the minimum payment was $25, when that posted, I would immediately go out and spend it again. To be honest, I really only spent it on food. And to this day, I will spend money on food and children's pajamas at Target.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I've never really been a big spender. I didn't have a lot to spend on, again, outside of food and gas. But I also borrowed a lot of clothes from my girlfriend at the time because she really likes to buy clothes.
Wait, aren't these hand-me-downs too?
Stop calling me out with that. Okay. It doesn't matter where the clothes come from. Okay. And so I always felt like I didn't need to go and buy that because I had resources available to me, and clothes have never been a really big priority of mine.
While we're on the topic of financial struggles during college, do you have anything that comes to mind? Like anything that's embarrassing, anything you struggled with, any specific stories?
Yeah, actually, both of these are really good in different ways. I'm sure that there are a number of stories that I could tell, but these are 2 that stick out in my memory a lot. And so one of them is I had to get gas and I had absolutely no money. So I scrounged around all over my car and I was able to find enough dimes to get $10 of gas between, like random coin jars and my car and stuff like that. And so I roll the coins and I take them into the gas station thinking that I'm being helpful because the person doesn't then need to count all of the dimes that I'm handing them across the counter. And as they're emptying them into the till, I realize that one of the dimes was crooked and I shorted them on the money. And I was like, don't say anything. You need $10 of gas to be able to, get to work. And the other part of me was like, but then they're going to be short. And I was also a cashier and I didn't want somebody to do that. So I told them and they said that honestly, it was more hassle than it would be worth to have to count all of the drawers to make sure that all of the money was there. And it probably wasn't much based on how much I gave them, but I still think about that a lot. And not only is it embarrassing to be like, sorry, I screwed up rolling dimes, but also the fact that I had to look for hours just to find enough money to be able to put gas in my car to get to work. And thinking back on that, I think I'm very grateful for all of my experiences. I just feel like I wish I had known more about money then, so I was not put in that position.
But even then, it's not that big of a deal. So that seemed like a very embarrassing moment at the time. But in reality, they could have just given you $9.90 of gas instead of $10, and you still would have gotten most of it.
It's a good point. The other story that sticks out, and this one was not necessarily embarrassing, except for embarrassing in my own head. I went to visit a friend from Delaware who ended up also being in Pittsburgh at CMU, and I went to go visit her, and we had decided to cook dinner at her apartment. However, the last second, her friends came over and they all decided to go out to eat. So we were going out to eat in downtown Pittsburgh, and I only had $11 on me. And when we got to the restaurant, I was like, I'll just buy whatever. The only thing I could afford was a side salad. Okay, and it was like $9.75. I had $11 on me. At the time, tax was still very confusing. Not the concept of tax, but I always thought that, like, if I have $11, I can buy $11 worth of stuff like you do in Delaware, and that's not the case in Pennsylvania, except for weird random exclusions to that rule. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to get something because they know that I'm hungry, right? And normally I would just get a soda or something and say, oh, I'm not really hungry right now. I'd make sure that had a lot of sugar content so that I could offset, that hunger feeling.
Where was that Discover card?
I did not have it yet.
Oh.
And great question. Although probably would have been maxed out anyway. And so we went and I got a side salad. Well, the problem was that I only ate iceberg lettuce at that time. When romaine lettuce, I thought, was the fancy lettuce, right? And so when the side salad came out, I realized it was funny looking lettuce, which is also known as spring mix for other people.
We still call it funny looking lettuce.
And I had to gag down this whole side salad where I spent all of my money on this horrible, horrible dinner that I did not want in any way. And when it came time at the end, I could only tip whatever the difference was between 6% sales tax, $9.75, and the $11 I had. And I still sometimes think about that. And again, think, I wish I would have known a better way to kind of manage my money. But while I was really good at saying no to a lot of material goods when it came to prioritizing my money, I was not so great at saying no to my friends who either had money because they were better at managing their money or had money based on their parents or whatever it was. I was never very good at telling them no, that I could not do that. There's a lot more stories very similar to those, but those two stick out because one, the embarrassment and the shame I felt about not having the money to do these things as an adult, and the embarrassment I literally felt when the person and I realized that I did not have enough money to get $10 worth of gas. So after graduation, I moved home shortly. I moved back to Pittsburgh, got a job for some time, like 5 or 6 weeks at $10 an hour, which was a significant amount of money, and kind of couch surfed all over the place trying to find a place to live when I ended up couch surfing on Nikki's couch.
And thank God you did.
Sure.
So what would you say to other people facing the same kinds of things right now?
Honestly, looking back, I think one of the most important things, regardless of if you're 18 or if you're 85, is that giving yourself grace is very, very important. You can't be upset about past mistakes that you cannot change. And that is honestly a very hard thing for me to say and for me to realize, as Nikki can attest, that I'm not great at forgiving myself for mistakes now or,
You're getting better.
20 years ago, but I am getting better. And I think that that is the most important thing. And that's one of the reasons that I'm really driven to do this kind of work, because I want people to realize that you can manage your money in ways where you still live a very happy and fulfilling life without having to have the financial struggles of being embarrassed when you go out and your card gets declined or something like that. So really take a deep breath and think, I can get through this. I can figure this out.
Exactly. Remember, everything that you do counts towards your progress. And so you just take one step at a time and eventually you'll get there.
I feel like you were saying that directly to me and not to the viewers. So here's the takeaway from today's video. Be patient with yourself, give yourself grace, and understand that everybody makes mistakes. If you watched our very first introductory video about being a financial coach, you will know that sometimes I forget that I have free trials, which I have one right now, and that it's tough, right? And sometimes you do want to go out and you want to spend your money, you work hard. But the thing really is about prioritizing it. And so I'm looking forward to getting more into those details of the best way that you can approach your financial journey. And remember,
every small step counts.
We'll see you next week for another Financial Friday when Nikki gets to be in the hot seat, and I'm going to ask her a whole bunch of questions about being in college and what finances looked like for her. Bye!
Thanks for listening. Like, share, and subscribe. Small steps. Finance.